Hey there, this is Pam Perry. So today we're going to talk about all things marketing, but specifically three areas that my guest really talks about dominating in order to have effective marketing. So I'll bring up Andrea Patrick right after this, read you a little bit about who she is, just so that you know who this young lady is. She's one of the most passionate people you'll ever meet. She's a marketing and personal brand expert, as well as a rounded approach creating content, clear and consistent and efficient brand strategy. She prides herself in helping clients gain the attention, including conversations, engagement. She's got a background in marketing, obviously. She's got a cosmetology license and also dabbles in a little bit of the wardrobe and fashion styling and years of experience in putting together really authentic brand experiences. So you'll hear a little bit about her personal uh, experience that she's had where she discovered the process of really how to authentically navigate your personal brand. So I'll bring her up right after this and we'll talk with Andrea Patrick.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey there. So I'm going to bring up Andrea Patrick. How are you? Thank you for joining us today. Oh, good, good. And I forgot to mention also too that she has some books as well. And so her book, two books actually. One book is called Be the Brand, a new and organic approach to personal branding. That's one. And the other one is the BTB Business Journal. She also has a podcast, which is what we're going to talk about today. Podcasting seems to be the rage. So her podcast, she's been doing, I guess she'll tell you how many episodes she has, but it's called the CEO Mindset. And she also has a YouTube channel called the Andrea Patrick Official and also multiple courses. So that's a little bit about Andrea. So how does a person with a cosmetology degree in fashion and wardrobe styling get into this whole internet digital space of podcasting?
Well, first, let me thank you for having me on the show. And it's quite simple, really, and something that I teach people as well. Your passion really does provide an avenue towards your purpose. And I started off with a marketing degree. I've always enjoyed helping people with strategies to really be seen. And so I loved hair and makeup and fashion and all of that. And when you really whittle down everything that I loved, it boiled down to I liked making people and businesses look and feel their best. And so when you look at it from that lens or through that lens, you can very clearly see the connection between personal branding, how I'm helping people to leverage who they are across every avenue of their life to find the intersection between their personal life and their business life, and the idea of looking your best with your hair and your makeup and looking your best with your clothing, because we do these things to attract the energy that we want for us. So whether it's personal or it's business, that's kind of how it all connected.
And so when we were at the very beginning, before the internet really got to be the point where I guess you would say it's kind of like in teenage years now, I guess you would say. Before at the
Right.
beginning, it was infant, toddler. Now we're in teenagers. So when someone was really, I know for me personally, Andrea, so I would post something on Facebook or Instagram, and it would just be a picture, like a picture of
Mhm.
whatever. But now it is so everything is so precise, and you have to have the right aesthetics and someone who's putting out a video. Even now, I'm doing StreamYard, right? And I've got this overlay and all of this, and I've got this background. You just can't have a crunchy background anymore. It has taken people almost to the point where they're so confused or either just real scared, and they feel like I'm not a creative, I'm not a content creator, I'm just a subject matter expert. How do they pull all these pieces together? The right podcast, the right book. You obviously know design and marketing. So how does that fit in with someone just starting out?
Well, the truth is, it's really about tapping into who you are and what you need to do and be your best. And I really like this area because it's about creating a solid foundation for your business. A lot of people like to start off when they talk about marketing. Start off talking about their websites or a logo or what colors they want to use or what social media platform they want to be on. And all those things are important. But before you can get to that, you really need to understand your dynamic. How
Mhm.
can you set up appropriate systems and processes? How can you determine how you want people to show up for you and how you want to show up for people? And so when you're looking at marketing from, again, through that lens, what you're seeing is, okay, maybe you don't like video, right? So maybe you say, I don't want to be on YouTube because I'm not comfortable on camera. But that doesn't mean you don't have to be on YouTube. It just means maybe you'll do presentations or PowerPoints to showcase your content, or maybe you will put other people on camera for you. It's a matter of knowing who you are and what you need to do and be your best to determine how and where you'll show up for your marketing. And so that's how it becomes a lot easier to decide, like, where
Yeah.
am I going to be on social media? What pictures do I want to use? Again, like you said, we're in an age of authenticity and organic marketing.
Hmm.
People don't want to know anything about your logo. Again, you've heard that saying, people don't care what you know until they know that you care, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that means we have to really dive into why it is we really do care and how we connect to our audience. And that makes things a lot easier when determining where to show up on social media.
There are so many marketing avenues that people can choose.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, blogging was easy because journalism was my background. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't mind blogging. I'd been blogging for 20 years, right? I love writing. When I first started, though, when blogging first came out, I didn't know what to blog. And I did it wrong. I was putting up press releases. At that point, it was like, no one wants a press release on your blog. I didn't realize later that people wanted on my blog, they wanted people who were coming to the blog wanted to know about PR and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to read the press release. The press release was for the media, not for the audience of the blog. So anyway, so I got that wrong. Finally got it straightened out, right? That was okay. Then it became where I wasn't really uh, I guess podcasting, I started with Blog Talk Radio. I think that's probably where we met maybe 2 years ago on Blog Talk Radio. That was like a first platform
Oh
of
my gosh, I
really
don't even remember. It's been so long. I've known you for so long. I feel like I don't even remember where it started.
I think it was around that time. It was like 2008, 9, 10, or
Oh
something
my
like that.
goodness.
Like 2010, I would call it like the toddler years of the internet, so to speak, and then it finally got into the teenage years where we are right now. And so the Blog Talk Radio was something I didn't mind doing. I actually loved that. And I probably had hundreds and hundreds of shows, but it was totally wrong. I will not recommend that if you really want to save your content on Blog Talk Radio. So anyway, that's a whole nother thing. And then the other thing, that video, people were really just getting into video, and I didn't mind doing video because what I was actually sharing was showing media training tips on television of like how they should show up. So obviously that was easy for me. But then I found that then I started working with clients, Andrea, and they were like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And I'm thinking like, okay, but this is how we're going to get your content out there. And so you have picked 3 areas or 4 areas, I guess you would say, that you really dominate, and explain how and why you picked your areas in terms of your marketing for your company.
Do you mean my content, like my brand heritage, my brand? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, you really just said I'm focusing on podcasts, the YouTube, and it was another area that I think I was reading that you said,
Oh,
you could do all the things, but it's like,
oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, I focus primarily on my podcast and my YouTube channel for my hero content. If we're going to talk about like the main content that I push out,
yes, yes.
I also like to do Pinterest and I use Instagram, but I use Pinterest, and I think it's important to note here that Pinterest and YouTube are search engines. So if
Hmm.
you are going to be sharing like service-based content, educational-based content, content that people are looking for, like they're actually actively going on their computer searching how-tos and the whys, then YouTube is definitely the platform to be on, and so is Pinterest, because people are going to those platforms and typing in the sentence how to.
Yes,
you know
yes.
and so you want to go on there with your content answering those questions. And so because I am a service based business, and I am teaching people how to create a solid foundation for their business so that they can find that intersection between personal and business to have the quality of life they're looking for, those are two main areas that I look at to be on.
Hmm.
Now, for Instagram, that is a wonderful place to engage in real time with
Okay.
people. So, from my podcast, I can push you to my Instagram and say, hey, if you want to talk about this right now, hop over on Instagram, follow me at AF Patrick, ding ding, follow me at AF Patrick, and you can hop in my DMs and let's have a conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so I really think that having those areas, those different types of content, and the delivery or distribution of the content is important to think about.
Hmm. And one of the things too that I think that when someone you mentioned Pinterest, so people was
Mhm.
like, I'm not really crafty. I don't really do Pinterest and that kind of thing. But the thing of it is that if you're doing something like that, um, you can pin it. You can pin videos from YouTube, but you said on Pinterest. So explain a little bit about. I think Pinterest has something new that they're doing right now in terms of I want to say shorts or short form video on Pinterest.
Well, right. You can do idea pins, is what they're called. I think is what you're talking about. And you can put up just like a short on YouTube or a story or actually a reel on Instagram. You can put up that same type of content on Pinterest. But here's another thing that you don't want to sleep on with Pinterest. Pinterest has communities like Facebook, and you can jump in those communities with your content when you publish or you share some images. And it just grows your exposure exponentially. I mean, you can go from having, very few followers or impressions in a month to like 4 or 5 thousand, like that, just by posting your content in those communities. And you can go in and pick the various communities that you want to be in as it relates to your industry. So Pinterest is, I mean, there is a lot involved in Pinterest.
It is, and I think people sleep on, the ones that people aren't really talking about. I mean, obviously, people are talking about TikTok, and they're talking about Instagram Reels, and those kind of podcasting definitely is one video podcast especially, but LinkedIn is one of my favorites, and so is, Pinterest. I love Pinterest, but I don't engage there, but I look at it. I have like 33,000 views for the month, right?
Hmm.
And I'm
Hmm.
not really active there. And it's not like people say, oh, I follow you on Pinterest. I never have anybody say, oh, I saw you on Pinterest. They will say, I saw you on Facebook. But Facebook is about face. So they obviously
Hmm.
they look at faces. But Pinterest is the one that I really want people to really look at more
Hmm.
as well. And then also the Instagram. So Instagram is changing. And I just saw that they are doing something new, Andrea. It's communities or subscribers or
Hmm.
something like that. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, so now you want all my time. And so what's this? Do you know about what the subscriber thing is on Instagram now? It's like subscribing
Are you
community.
talking about like different profiles, and they'll have their own community and you can subscribe to their.
Yes. And so people, it's like a membership community.
It is like a membership community, but they're doing that on YouTube as well. They
Oh,
have that
okay.
on YouTube as well, where people can they were calling them Patreons.
Yes.
And I think they may have Patreon still, but I saw recently that they're actually promoting communities and membership base where they do extra videos inside their community, and they're doing added value inside the communities as well, just providing more content. I'll just say this in terms of social media. I think your very first focus should be your hero content, whether it's going to be video or it's going to be a podcast or it's going to be a blog, either,
Hmm. Hmm.
or a combination. I do a combination. I actually
Hmm.
have all three. I have a blog, I have a podcast, and I have a YouTube channel. But the first thing I think that we need to consider is what that content is going to be, and
Yes.
then we can determine how we want to distribute that content. And it's very important. It hangs up some of the best marketers, this idea of content distribution, because you have to think about everything from, do you want to pay or not pay? A lot of
Hmm.
people, I just don't want to pay for ads. I struggle with paying for ads. I feel like I can do a lot organically, and I teach a lot of people about organic ads, but I also, understand paid ads as well. But in order to pay for ads and not waste your money, you really need to know where your audience is going to be. And
Yes.
you need to have a message that is articulate enough for them to be attracted to it in the first place and want to connect with it. Otherwise, you're wasting money, even if you get in front of the right people. If they're not attracted to the message, they're not going to click, and so
Mhm.
then you could waste money. So I advise to really get clear on your message first and
Yeah.
that hero content, then decide where you want to distribute it. Start distributing it organically first and develop that following and that engagement. And then you know that the people that you want to pay for an ad to reach will be interested in it. So I just think that there is an approach to paid ads that takes a little while to get to.
It does, it does. And one of the things that I really like recently, because of the intimacy, is Clubhouse. So
Oh,
Clubhouse
yes.
is a way where people can take their podcasts, well, they can take their Clubhouse and turn into a podcast. So
Hmm.
I have a client that does that. You can download the Clubhouse recording and turn it into a podcast with some proper editing and actually do it that way. And I'm like, that's a great way, because if people are overwhelmed with, I don't know how to really take it, because obviously this show that we're doing right now can be a podcast. It's a video.
Right.
It's live on Facebook, and it's in the National Association of Black Podcasters group and on YouTube and LinkedIn. But the thing of it is that it's also a podcast. So it goes to, like, all the major podcast directories. So I always want people to feel like, don't get overwhelmed.
Right.
Primarily, the reason why I do this show is so that people can know how to get out there and get known. Obviously,
Right.
the main thing is about marketing, but digital marketing is so,
It's a beast.
it's a beast. It's
It's a
scary for
beast.
people that aren't familiar with it. And I know you have something called Boss Talk. So tell us about Boss Talk as well, because I was looking at that. I was like, oh my goodness, I've got to ask Andrea, what is Boss
Well, I'm
Talk?
going to have you on actually because I started this a couple of weeks ago. I actually have transitioned this several different times because I'm one of the things about marketing that I part of the CEO Mindset podcast is about teaching people to consistently evolve or constantly
Yes.
evolve and be open to failure and to fail fast. And I'm mentioning that because the Boss Talk has had several different iterations. And recently, most recently, the last two, I wanted to do Instagram lives where I brought people on, much like what you're doing now, experts in their industry, to have real live conversations about what's going on. And I reached out to people and I thought about it for a minute, and it just became so, I don't know, it was just another thing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I decided, well,
I
I don't really
personally
want to
listen, I personally don't like Instagram Live, just because I don't like how we would be stacked on
on
top
top
of
of
each
each other.
other. I like it side by side. I hear that they're gonna change it,
Well, you
but I
can
like
do it
it.
so that they're like four in a group. I mean, I've seen that before, but
Yeah.
I changed my mind about that because again, it was about having to schedule people. It was just another thing to do. And I have a podcast, I have a video. I mean, I have those platforms where I can interview people. So I decided to create the Boss Talk Coffee and Conversation.
Oh, okay.
And so what I did was I go live on on Instagram every morning between 8 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Just
Okay.
pop on and I just talk about just the conversation. I have my coffee. I haven't had my makeup done or anything. I'm just like getting up for the day, but it's just a general conversation between bosses about what happened the day before or what's going to be happening that day. And then I may pose a question at the end of the interview or as the live, and I send you over to a forum on my website.
Ah,
And that's where we can continue the discussion. And it's a safe place,
okay.
where we can talk about things, we can ask questions, we can, you know, get advice, all kinds of things like that. And so it turned into that. The Boss Talk turned into me coming on Coffee and Conversation casual live
Mhm.
on Instagram, and then a really boss conversation over on my website,
I like that. I like having ownership of it on your website versus
Facebook group.
Facebook groups. I was gonna say it because you know how we feel about the Facebook groups. And Facebook groups are, I don't know. I
Well,
get
I'll say
invited
this about Facebook groups.
hundreds of them, and I feel bad because people always ask me to join, and
Yeah,
I do join, but I'm not gonna be
you're
active
not going
in
to be
like
active.
200 Facebook
Let me
groups.
tell you my thoughts on Facebook groups and Twitter,
Okay.
another one. Okay, and then I want
Oh,
to
they
tell
have
you
Twitter
about
Spaces too.
Clubhouse. Say it again.
They have Twitter Spaces too,
Yes,
remember
I
that.
know. Okay, so here's the thing with Facebook and Twitter. They are great places to do research. Twitter
Mm-hmm.
is amazing for being a voyeur and finding those people that you want to follow, and or the customers, the client, the ideal client that you want, following them, seeing what they're talking about, who they're going to for information. I love Twitter to do recon.
Research. Yes.
I also love Twitter. I mean, I also love Facebook groups to do recon and build credibility, because you can go inside those Facebook groups and answer people's questions. You can
Yes.
take polls. You can really set yourself up as an expert in your industry just by
And
participating a few times a day.
LinkedIn groups too. I like
LinkedIn
LinkedIn.
groups too.
Hmm.
LinkedIn groups too.
Good for
Um,
research.
they
Mhm.
are really good for research, and so I don't discount them for as platforms to use. It's just how you use them. I think I'm not a big, like, I post my podcast on Facebook and I post it, I post it in, but I'm not like active in all that stuff. Um, so yeah, I think that using those platforms in that way is another way to look at them that can sort of optimize your marketing strategy. Now, I
Mm.
will say for Clubhouse too, you have to be now. Clubhouse is awesome if you have time to spend on Clubhouse.
Woo, it's a
You
lot of
have to
time.
have
Yes.
time to spend on Clubhouse. And now, if
Let
you
me
have
tell you. I
if
will
you,
tell you.
I'm
It is.
telling you, if you have clients that you are serving, you don't have
Mm.
time to
No.
sit on
I
Clubhouse.
remember one time someone asked me to be on a Clubhouse, and I said, "Sure, I'll come on Clubhouse." And I came on Clubhouse, and it was like 2 hours, and they hadn't gotten
Mm-hmm.
to me, and I was like ready to hit somebody. I said, "You know
Mm-hmm.
what? I can't. I cannot." So I do a Clubhouse, and I only do it for 60 minutes, and that's it, twice a week. And that's it. I don't think you should hold someone for hours and hours on Clubhouse. It's just, I think it's rude. I
And
think
when I first started doing Clubhouse, the idea was to grow a following in an easier way, because when you are an what do you call them? A moderator, when you are a co-moderator in some of the clubhouses, you have access to the other people's following, and you can show up as the expert that you are. So that's
yeah.
beneficial. But like you said, if the people who are moderating that group don't respect your time and you're on there for 2 hours, it's difficult to log off and be respected, or and if you log off an hour later and you were one of the moderators, right? So that is difficult. And then also you have to spend time to grow your own, because I have my own room
Yes.
on Clubhouse, but I haven't done much, because that requires you have to go somewhere else to bring people in, to
Hmm.
get the people in. So I really haven't done too much on Clubhouse outside of the co-moderating that I did in 2020, the end of 2021,
Right.
2020,
Yeah, it
2022.
really started growing during the pandemic in 2020 is when it
Right.
really started growing and people were more inside. Now they're
Hmm.
outside and it's not necessarily we're not as desperate for that human
Connection.
interaction.
I
So
know a couple of women who have just like they do tens of thousands of dollars worth of business on Clubhouse platform. I mean, and but God love them, they are on there all
yeah,
all the
I
time.
can. No, that's one of the things you want to be mindful of the time. In marketing, there's so much that you can do. One of the main things that we do, Speakers Magazine, because the best form of really marketing is word of mouth, and so word of
Hmm.
mouth only happens if you're showing up in person and people experience you live. And so speakers speak. They speak obviously as a keynote speaker, but they also speak as a subject matter expert at different events and things like that. And I always tell people, I said, try if you can to do real live interactions with people. The next best would be video, like what we're doing, talking to people. We're live on, you'll see Joseph and Lanisha over there on LinkedIn and things like that. That's like the second best. Third, the audio apps are fine. Sometimes I hear people reading on audio apps. It's like, that doesn't sound like it's really true conversation. It's like you're reading your stuff. And so then I would just cut that off. And I was like, oh, because we can't see you, so you're going to read. But I like this because it's just natural. It's not
Right.
edited or any of that kind of thing. It's just like really what it is. So if people were, and you have your books too. So if people were to create a signature program, which is what you're doing, does your podcast lead people to your signature program?
Yes, if you go to any of my podcasts, there at the bottom in the show notes, I always have links to some of the programs, some of the other content that you can follow. Now, my startup to level up program, which is the one that I just finished beta testing, and I'm about to do a soft launch of it soon. I'm so excited.
Ah, I
I
like the
actually
name
have
Startup to Level Up. I like that. Yeah,
Yes,
just
because
start.
You know what? People, and I've learned, I have these 5 stages of Boston that I talk about. One, think up, start up, stay up, level up, and up level. Those are my 5 stages of entrepreneurship. And one of the things that I realized when I was struggling in my business and trying to figure out why I wasn't getting what I wanted to get out of it was because I was communicating or trying to promote to the wrong people. I was trying to
Um,
talk to the people in the startup phase and in the stay up or in the think up and the startup phases, and they weren't ready mindset wise to really understand the value of creating a solid foundation. Mostly when you're thinking it up or you're starting it up, you're like, I got to make my money back. I want to
mhm,
sell my first thing. I want to, I need to get in front of as many people as possible. So the mindset isn't there to really start to connect themselves to their business yet.
good.
So the startup to level up element is really about those who have are really ready to transition from traditional marketing and they're
Mhm,
ready to get into the digital space and create a more authentic and organic approach to the way they reach people. That doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're not doing ads. You can pay for ads, but like I said previously, you're really wasting your money if you haven't tapped into the audience organically first and really found
mhm,
out what they want and how they are operating and how you need to communicate best with them. Otherwise, if you pay for it, you don't know if you're really in front of the right audience because you haven't tested that content. You haven't really proven yourself to that ideal customer. So
true.
the startup to level up is to teach you how to build that solid foundation, how to set you up with systems and processes that really reflect what you need to do and be your best so that when that rush of people comes in that you're going to now attract, you have the bandwidth to
You're
handle
right.
that.
I
Yeah, and
love
then create the marketing strategies that will attract them.
Yeah, that's one of the things that people really struggle with is clarity. So getting the clarity and really feeling brave and courageous enough to be authentic, and really when I say really authentic and courageous enough, like saying, okay, this is who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to these people. I'm talking to this people, and because the thing of it is people want to say, well, I don't want to not, talk
I
to
just did
everybody.
I
Yeah,
just did a
I
whole
may not,
blog on this.
I want to talk
Yes.
to everybody, and it's like, no, you have a specific target audience. Trust me, specialists make more than a generalist. So it's okay to be in a niche,
Yeah.
and to really focus on that niche and to speak that language to that niche over and over and over again. It's like, how
Yeah,
long have
listen,
you been
you
doing this?
don't want to be
20
friends
years?
with everybody. You don't want everybody to be your friend. You don't, there are people you don't like. There are people that don't like you. So you definitely don't want to try to be friends with everybody in the world. If you
Yes.
look at defining your niche in that way, then it makes it a lot easier to comprehend and get in the right mindset because you want to be in connection with people who have similar things as you, whether it's a problem that you solve for yourself or you've solved for others. You want people with that same thing, you know. And so if it's going to be ambitious entrepreneurs who are female, who are trying to go from traditional to digital marketing, i.e., mine,
Mhm. Mhm,
then
mhm.
you want to say that specifically, and you want to say doesn't mean you're not going to capture other people. It just means that you're being very specific with who you want to capture.
I
And
like
I'll say this too before you cut me off, before you tell me I got to stop talking. But when you look at creating an avatar for your audience, that ideal audience, if you give that person a personality, if you give them characteristics, and you set up all of their characteristics, you can go to that one avatar and you can ask that avatar, would you like this? Is this something that I could do for you and you would be attracted to it? Because that avatar is representing your entire niche. And it just makes
Mhm.
it easier to connect with them, one person versus trying to
A
determine who
million.
all, right, right.
Yeah, yeah. I like the fact, and I just want to say thank you again for writing for Speakers Magazine. You wrote an article, I want to say it was a couple of years ago. When you
Yeah,
stand up, it's best to stand out.
yes.
And the link is below so you can read it. But really, you talk about like really 3 points. Let your epiphany guide you, let your
Hmm.
personality lead to profit. And then the third thing you says, legacy let your legacy lead you to loyalty. So I really like the alliteration that you have. We talked about that before, how we like alliteration
Yes.
and things that people can remember. That's part of like the branding mindset, right? It's just like
Yes,
this
yes.
is what we do. So that's really available for you all to read in Speakers Magazine. And then again, her information is there. She's, talks about all things marketing on her website. So make sure you listen to her podcast, which is the CEO Mindset Podcast, because
And
it's more.
subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And it's Andrea Patrick Official. Just go check it out.
Okay. All right. How many do you have right now?
I think it's 210. So I need
Okay,
a
we're
large
gonna make
number.
yeah, we're gonna make sure that we do that. Because one of my goals, and I don't know why this was a goal, Andre. So then we're gonna I don't know. I want to have 1,000 people on TikTok. Now I'm not a big dancer, but in my mind, I think I am. So
I've
yeah,
seen you get your groove on TikTok
I'll be trying to
now.
I started out with the Savage Challenge. I said, "Oh Lord, that's why that got to be the first one that I do." Right, so I'm trying to do the Savage. I was like, okay, and I'm at about 970, so I'm trying to get
Oh
like to
gosh, I
1,000.
think I'm following you, so I need to go make sure. But I think I am because
It's a
I see
fun
you.
thing.
I see you come through. I'm like, look at Pam. Look
Oh
at
my God.
Pam.
And see, that is so just so that you know, get out there, get known. If I have to try all the things. So me and Andre, we're in marketing. So we try all the things, but I
Yes.
will not recommend that. That's not where my business is coming from. If someone says, yeah, I'd like to do some PR. I saw you on TikTok. That's probably not gonna be my
That's
that's probably not my ideal client. But if they saw me on LinkedIn or if they saw me, on my blog or what, that's a little bit better. But TikTok is definitely just craziness. Just it's the zaniness of Pam, like
yeah.
whatever she wants to do.
Well, we need to see
Uh
that side of her too because that makes you realistic to other people. So yeah,
yeah, me and the dog
yeah, I
are on
love
there.
it.
So, because I was thinking, I said, should I give the dog an actual TikTok? I said, he needs to earn his keep over here. Maybe I need But I just love talking to you because you are just so smart. And
Thank
like you said,
you.
one of the things that you're talking about evolving and that sort of thing. So you're in Dallas, correct?
I am. I am a suburb of Dallas. Yes.
So I think I may pop in on you, or we got to have coffee. I'm going to be there soon at
Girl,
Podcast Movement,
do
and so
not play with my emotions. You better let
yes,
me
yes.
know.
So Podcast Movement, I think is the end of August or that sort of thing. So those listen to it after that, it's like, oh, I missed it. But it's one of those big podcast conferences. So I definitely want to meet up with you there. Maybe
Absolutely.
we
I'm
can do a
there.
live together or some kind of
Yes.
video together. We'll put up a tripod and then maybe we'll put
Yes.
TikTok
I've got
together.
all the equipment, so don't even worry about it. I got
We can do
all
a
the
TikTok
lights and
challenge.
stands and
Yes, that would be good. That would be good because
awesome.
I love it. Well, even though going to Dallas in August is like really, so I will have braids by then. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, it's 100. I think it's going to be
Oh,
105
oh,
today.
I know.
Yeah.
Kadena Tate is in Dallas, so she tells me it's like over 100 degrees. I said, okay, when I come to Dallas, I will have braids. I am not going to be trying to play around with this hair.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to play around with the hair out here. No, 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 no,
It's
no.
just, it's, it's just not those things. But I definitely want to see you because it's one of the favorite people. You're so consistent, very clear,
Thank
obviously
you.
authentic. That's the thing that is about you. And we just have basically we want to serve people. We want them to level
Yes,
up.
it's
So that's one
important
of
to
the
have an
main things.
attitude of serving versus selling. I think that's really important for
Yeah,
authenticity.
yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I want people to go to AndreaPatrick.com, sign up for Boss Talk, follow her on YouTube. Make sure you sign up for her YouTube channel. And when you do sign up, share it. There's a quick way to share her videos. There's a share buttons there. So make sure that you're doing that as well. That's always cool. That's how people obviously get more followers and that sort of thing. And it's
Yes,
good content. It's not like we're just asking you to it's good content. She spends a lot of time. She is an artist, right? She's an
thank you.
artist. She's a creative
I am a
person.
creative.
She's a creative, so they're always good, always
Thank
good. So
you.
thank
Don't forget to comment. Tell people, talk about, let's talk. Tell me if you
I
want to
do
see
like to
something else. If you want to, if you need more, if you wanted me to talk about one thing let me know. I'll talk about it.
yes, yes. And then your boss talk coffee conversations are every morning?
Every Monday through Friday from between 8 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'll pop on. Just follow me on AF Patrick, and I'll usually pop up in my stories. I'm gonna go live in 5, or I'll go live in 15, and so lets people know to go ahead and get ready. And then I just pop on and we talk about whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's really good. That's really good because the things that we just talked about, like the Pinterest or the different types of things, those are just really good that I call social media is good to talk about socially because it's always changing. And
right.
someone will say, did you know that such and such, or did you know that shorts are doing this, or
Yeah,
it's just so much. And so you can't live in a bubble because the stuff is always changing. And so, yeah,
ever changing.
yeah, someone says, yeah, I tried Twitter Spaces, but I don't understand it. Or I tried Clubhouse and, whatever. It just is, you have to be social with it. And so
We
you
do.
can go to your chats in the morning and then go over onto your website for a
Yes,
forum.
we
That's
can
great.
talk. Yeah.
And then that's one of the things with Ready, Set, Go. It's this private forum. It's not a Facebook group. So it's just a group of people that really want to know how to get ready, set, go to go out speaking on stages or in media places. That's one of
Hmm.
the main things. I don't recommend if you have premium content to put it in free places.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's good to give them, you can give them the what, you can give them the why for free, but the how
It's
is where
got to
they
be
have to pay. Yeah.
in the community. And also too, because I've had people that just almost lost their mind because they put all their content for their membership program on Facebook and Facebook shut them down or they got hacked. And so then they lost all of that. And so what do?
Yeah.
You have to refund everybody or you got to
Yeah.
figure out a way. So I would just
That's
tell
why it's
people,
so important to have some sort of an email marketing platform, because you capture
yes,
all those names and email addresses so that if that were to happen, you can just email everybody and say, child, they shut down my Facebook. So I'm going to be over here on my website. Come join me over
yes,
there.
that is so true. That is
Email
so,
is
and
not
that.
dead.
No, it is not dead. And that happened not too long ago with Les Brown. I think his YouTube channel got hijacked or something,
Oh,
and he had to send
wow.
an email out to everyone and say, "Hey, resubscribe. YouTube's not answering me or whatever." And I think now he's like at 30,000 people.
Oh, wow.
He's
Okay, guys. If he can do that fast, then I feel like I should be able to get the
yes,
other
you can.
800 people that I'm looking for.
You will. You will. We're gonna make sure that happens. Well, thank you, Andrea Patrick. Thank you so much for joining us today
Thank
on Get Out There, Get
you.
Known. Remember to like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, and rate it as well. Give us a 5-star. Don't be like I'm a critic.
That's right.
Yeah, just give it a 5-star and just keep it moving. Okay, it'll be good karma coming back to you. So with
Absolutely.
that, thank you
Absolutely.
also, and I will see you soon next month.
All right.
All
Thanks,
righty.
guys.
All righty.
Thanks for
Bye
having me,
bye.
Pam.
You're welcome. Bye.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com.